Yo, yo, yo. Welcome everyone to a very special episode of Across the Hobby. The purpose of this episode is to take you through the absolutely massive Heritage Auctions fall auction that is ending coming up next week, December 18th, 19th, 20th, maybe not the 18th. We'll look into it in just a second to see exactly what days it's ending. But guys, this auction is absolutely huge. The purpose of this episode is to walk you through 100 of the biggest items that are ending next week. And that includes some of the biggest cards, including one card that I am so shocked that it's at auction. I can't talk about all of the reasons why I'm shocked that it's at auction, but I never thought I'd see this card at auction again. It's one of the biggest basketball cards in existence, and we'll talk about it sort of freely and openly, not as condensed as you see me on my reels on Instagram, but we'll talk more about it and its historical significance here. But without further ado, let's share now the giant Heritage Auctions auction that is coming up. So if you haven't been to Heritage before, let me help you out a little bit. So Heritage Auctions is a really easy website to remember, ha.com. You go to ha.com, and when you do that, right up here at the top, you can see the auctions button. Click on that, and then click on auction calendar. And of course, you've heard of Heritage Auctions before. Even if you're not a card collector, you've heard of Heritage Auctions before. If you scroll down, you're going to see a card that's going to jump right out at you. This one right here, this dual logo man of Kobe MJ. And if we hit browse auction, that's going to show us all the items. You can see right over here, there are almost 4,000 items. I should say there are over 3,600 items that are ending. Now, what pops up first is best match. And if you scroll down, you're going to see that's basically ordered by date. These are like all of the oldest cards. We're not going to look at the oldest cards necessarily. Might look at some of them, but instead, we're going to click on the highest first. And that's going to give us a sense of some of the biggest cards that are at auction. And again, we're going to go through about 100 cards here in the next 100 minutes. We're going to do it fast and feverish. But at the beginning, we're going to focus on a couple of really, really big cards. And the first one that we're going to spend a good amount of time on is this one right here. In fact, let's scroll through the first couple rows and see which ones we want to talk about. So we're going to start out with this dual logo man. Then there's this PSA 8 mantle. We could spend some time looking at that one, but I think you guys know the story here. One thing I would point out real quick, look at the cert number and then look at the slab. This is a card that has been reholdered, and that's just a good thing to know. Whenever we have a mantle 8 or higher sell at auction, it is always a major, major story. So that is the second biggest auction as of right now. But what would you rather have? Would you rather have the 8 or probably the first autograph that exists on a 52 Topps card? We'll take a look at that one here and cover that. And then also on this next row, you've got the Jordan in a 10 condition, the Jeter in 10 condition. We're going to look at that one briefly. And then we've got the Larry Bird jersey, mirrors photo match to 7 playoff games. Wow, that's very cool. And then Michael Jordan's debut ticket. For big ticket collectors, there's not a lot of tickets bigger than that one. But let's start with our first 3 items that we already have highlighted. And let's start with the biggest item of the auction, in my humble opinion, the dual logo man from Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. It's currently at $1.175 million. You can see my big head's in the way, but the card after buyer's premium is over $1.4 million. But you'll also notice that I think it's published here. There's an estimate on this card from Heritage. Let's see if it shows it out here. I don't want to say it wrong. Yeah, they've got an estimate on this of $3 million. So this one's not halfway yet to the estimate. Let's talk about everything having to do with this, and we'll try to keep it to just a couple of minutes. So Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, dual logo man, 03 exquisite. First part of the story that I think is most important is that 2003 exquisite is the very beginning of the exquisite brand. And the biggest chase from that first year of exquisite, as directed by Upper Deck, was the NBA All Access passes, or I should say All NBA Access pass dual logo man cards. This was the first year where you got dual Logoman cards. The year prior was the first time Upper Deck had ever created a Logoman insert card. That is when they created the Logomania set, which, if you know my collection, you know is a set that I'm passionate about. My best card is a card from that set. But this year in 2003, they expanded on the idea, in that Ultimate Collection created autographed Logoman cards, single autographed Logoman cards, and SP Game Used made single Logoman cards without an autograph. But Exquisite had what Upper Deck really felt was like the premium of premium Logoman cards, the duels, where each card had 2 Logoman on them. Now remember, 03 is also interesting because this is still the period where patches were considered some of like the highest that you could get of a player, not necessarily autographs. This was sort of probably in the process of switching, where in the late 90s, it was by far autographs were more popular. By far jerseys were more popular. But by 2003, it was probably pretty close. The differentiator here, of course, being that these are both Logoman patches. And again, it had only been a season where the card companies had started differentiating. Topps in 2002 did a couple of sets, Stadium Club, and I think there was also the Topps Jersey Edition had done some Logoman cards, but nobody had done a duel. So 03 Exquisite comes along. It's $500 a pack, and everything's about to change. Okay, so just imagine everybody's gotten Ultimate Collection already. They've gotten the big LeBron autos and autographed rookie cards, and we thought that was it. We thought those were the biggest, things they were going to make that year. And then out of nowhere, we hear there's a $500 per pack product. And if you look at the product, you look at the checklist, you look at the odds, there's one chase that is clearly greater than all the other chases. They're the cards that you're supposed to be looking for. Out of the thousands of boxes of Exquisite they made that year, there are 3 dual Logoman cards called All NBA Access Patch cards. And all 3 of them have a combination of 2 of 3 given players. And the 3 given players were the big rookie that year, who happened to be one of the greatest players of all time, and LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, the heir apparent to the guy who had always been the face of Upper Deck and the face of the league for many years, Michael Jordan. So all 3 combinations are possible. There's a Kobe LeBron, there's a LeBron MJ, and then there's the MJ Kobe. Seeing this card at auction right now is shocking. It's absolutely shocking. I just never thought we would see another one of these up again. The conversation that I've had over the years about these cards with other people has always been, well, what would you rather have? The dual Logoman from 03 that's not autographed, or one of the later ones that is autographed? And that might seem like a silly conversation because you always want more. You always want the autograph. You want the card to have been in that player's hands. This card has never been in Michael Jordan's hands, I don't think. This card was never in Kobe Bryant's hands, I don't think. So how could you possibly choose this over a later card that was autographed? I'm not suggesting that you have to, but I know that this has been a conversation over the years because I've had this conversation. Why? Because 03 Exquisite matters. This is where it started. And the fact that this truly was one of the chases of the product is something that cannot be lost on you. It can't be. As I watch this sell, the thing that I talked about in a previous reel on this still pertains, and I think it's interesting. It's there's this dual Logoman, and then there's the dual Logoman that sold several months ago or around after the National, that sold for $13 million. That was the most expensive basketball card, most expensive sports card ever. Those are the only 2 Logomen of Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. Only 2. One that's autographed and the one that came first. And I would have asked, before that giant result, I would have said, which card is better? And I would have thought it was a good question. Now it sounds silly because that one was $13 million. But to each their own. To each their own on this one. I love this card. And as a collector of both of these guys, I think it's one of the best cards in the world. Okay, so that we're gonna call it there for that one. I want to keep going. We're gonna call it there. Okay, this Mickey Mantle is, I would argue, the second biggest card in auction. I personally like this more than the PSA 8 that's up, but I totally get it that people are going to say that's crazy. You can look at, in fact, I should be in Card Ladder and I'm not yet, but you can do a really easy check in Card Ladder to look at all of the other autographed 1952 mantles that have been up. And it's really an interesting exercise. One thing that you're going to find as you do that is that none of the autographs look like this. When I saw this card at National, my first thought is, why does Mantle's autograph look like that? And immediately I knew, oh, that's his early autograph. Because Mickey Mantle's autograph is one of the most iconic autographs of all, right? And he signed that way until he died. So if you go Mickey Mantle 1952 and we just go PSA DNA, this doesn't pick up all of them. Sometimes people don't put DNA in the listing, but often they do. So if we do this and we sort by price, what you're going to see, guys, you're going to see a lot of cards with similar autographs. They look like this. Now, this one right here is the most expensive ever, and there's a good reason. That autograph is just incredible. Okay, the aesthetics are incredible. The way it goes black line to black line, the iconic signature, the card grade. I mean, this is really fantastic. A really, really fantastic piece. And then you go to the next one, you'll see this one's in marker. The card's not quite as nice, but it's still that iconic autograph. It's not ballpoint pen, it's marker. Okay. So you start out by looking at both those. And as you go through and you look at, and this one's a Burke Ross, because I only put in 1952, but the same sort of thing, although in ballpoint pen is really nice there. You can see though the autographs all look the same. And the reason for that is it's very simple. Mantle's autograph changed to have those half moon M's in roughly 1954. I've heard some people say maybe 1953. Suffice it to say, this is Mantle's original autograph. And you can see there wasn't a lot of flair to it. It wasn't some great design. He hadn't spent a lot of time thinking about this. If you're like me, you practiced your autograph when you were a kid. I used to have an autograph that you could read every part of it, and it was sort of just a cursive me writing the name, and that's what Mantle's doing here. He just wrote his name. But the collection that this comes from, it was a collection where the person who got all these autographs got them signed generally in the same year that the card came out, or within a year when the card came out. This kid would collect the sets. He would then take the cards and a pen, go to restaurants, hotels, go to the ballpark, and get those cards signed. Go watch my reel on it, and you'll learn a little bit more about the kid. I was able to sit down with Heritage for a very brief phone conversation to ask questions. I've got to be a little bit sensitive here because, and they were super sensitive, because when you have an auction house and somebody auctioning things, there's always complications to that. And sometimes the person who's sending things in is more private. And there's a lot of reasons for that. People can be private. There could be family reasons. There'd be all these different reasons. But I wasn't able to get all of the information that I would have liked for that reel. You might notice like the person's name is left out and things like that. But the thing that's clear is Heritage knows the story really well. And they've gotten very comfortable with the cards and with the story. And it was a pleasure and privilege for me to be able to have that conversation and to be able to make the reel. But suffice it to say, the kid who got these cards graded was like really amazing in that he had incredible foresight and got these cards signed generally the same year that the cards were produced or right after. That leads us to an autograph era on a lot of these cards that doesn't exist otherwise. Meaning you don't see other 52 Topps mantles that have this signature. They don't exist, right? So if we go back to Card Ladder, this is why I pull up Card Ladder, you're going to see a whole bunch of autographs, guys, that look like this, that have like the two half moon M's. Some of them are even signed in marker. Ballpoint, I think at this point, it's pretty clear. It's sort of won the day as far as preference. People like ballpoint. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with marker. I'm saying in general, people like ballpoint. I way prefer ballpoint. And the reason why, especially on a giant card like this, is that it's my understanding some markers can be wiped away. And I always think about like forgers and like what forgers might be, what they might do, what bad guys might intentionally do to try to dupe PSA. We always have to be aware of that. As soon as PSA started grading autographs or unauthenticated autographs, we always knew this was going to be an issue. We always knew that they would have problems. We need them to be as good as possible. But authenticating an autograph to me is a little bit scarier than a pen, because a pen, you can't mess up on that. You mess up on that and that's done. You can't change it. But some markers, it's my understanding that those can be wiped away. And I think other people feel that way. I think it's also worth noting that the autographs, sorry, I got a little lost there because for some reason, some of these, I can't pull up the larger image. But anyway, that most of the 52 autographs out there of Mickey Mantle, they are, most of them look like his iconic signature. Very few of them look like that. And none of them look like this on a 52 Topps in public record until now. And that's why, here it is at $550,000 before buyer's premium. We're talking about a card that's, what is that? It's almost $700,000, right? Yeah, $671,000. Okay, now let's look at the Jeter. Now, the Jeter isn't going to really, a lot of people are going to go, oh, why are you looking at the Jeter, Adam? We already know that story. We look at the pop report. This is definitely a chance to look at gem rate. And gem rate has a tool. It's really cool. So this tool right here says top 100 cards of all time graded by PSA for all categories. And I think it just goes through the top 100 right here. Now, I don't know if the Jeter's on the top 100 all time. Should we check? Let's see. If I do a find for Jeter. Oh, look at that. It is. No, that's the Topps. Sorry, guys. So the Jeter Topps is in the top 100 of all time, but the SP isn't. I wonder if we change this to baseball. Let's change this to baseball. This is really a neat tool on gem rate, the top cards tracker, and it's saying grabbing your data. This may take a moment. By the way, the only thing that I wish was on here that isn't, and why I've dropped this into Excel a lot of times in the past, which you can easily do, by the way, by just hitting export to CSV. You can find out what place the card is all time in a certain category. So I can't tell you without dropping into Excel, what place this Jeter is going to be. I'm pretty sure it's going to be here now, though. Yeah. So where is it? There it is. So here's the SP. It's been graded 27,000 times by PSA. It actually has a 0% gem rate. And why it says that it has a 0% gem rate is 22 out of 27,000 have been graded gem. It is amongst the stat is amongst the 100 most graded sports cards of all time. It's one of the bottom 3 in terms of gem rate. It's the Jerry Rice, and the Ricky Henderson. They're the toughest 10s out there. Now you can say, well, I don't like that because I don't care. That could have been graded a 9 on another day, blah, blah, blah. I can't tell you everything about that. That's probably true. What I can tell you definitively is this card's only graded a 10 22 times. That's why it's sold for as much as it has in the past. Some people are conditional collectors. They care very much about what something grades at, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with loving that this is a 10. The world will tell you, some people will tell you, that's crazy. You shouldn't pay that much for that. But I'm telling you right now, collect what you like. And if you determine that you really like high grade things like that, then I think that's awesome. Okay, so those are the first 3 cards that I wanted to cover. Now let's come back. Man, that's a good one. Now let's come back to the auction and let's keep going. We're already 19 minutes in. We're only 3 cards in. So now is where we definitely got to start speeding up. Okay, now down to the next Drew. The Mike Schmidt in a PSA 10. We only see this one. I think the last time we saw this one was a couple years ago. In fact, we're going to check that one. A bat, Shohei Ohtani 2024 game used and signed bat. A Clemente in an 8. 1940 Gum Superman complete set. Currently number 4 on the registry. Wow, that's huge. This is one thing that Heritage does really well, guys. Complete set, 1956 Topps baseball. Number 1. What is this? With every team and stock color variation. Wow, that's a huge set. Number 1 current finest on the registry. That's crazy. 1962 top set, number 4 on the registry. A George Brett in PSA 10 condition. Gosh, that's a big card. I don't remember if I've ever even seen that one before. Let's take a look at that one. And then we get into some of these cards from the Golden Age collection. I forgot to mention this, I think. That mantle that I was talking about for a long time, that's part of the Golden Age collection, meaning from the Golden Age of all of sports cards. And all of these cards are signed, again, over the years. That same kid just meticulously collected all of these. And look at the maze. This is a 51 maze in 3.5 condition with a 10 autograph. So let's take a look at that one. We're going to take a look at several of the Golden Age cards. 52 Jackie autograph with an autograph of an 8. And then the Joe Jackson American Caramel. We've seen a few of these recently in 1 grade. I haven't seen anything this high grade for a while, though. A 3 on this is a big deal card. And that's why it's already at over $96,000, or what is that? Almost $100,000, including BP. The number 2 current finest set on the registry from 1977, Ty Cobb portrait. The Michael Jordan autograph, graded a 6 with an 8 auto in blue there. I'm glad the blue gets into the nameplate, something that I talk about a lot. This autograph gets very lost in blue. I personally would not get this card signed in blue. I would probably get it in black. But if you just have to have it in blue, what you really want to see is what Jordan did here, where the autograph hits the nameplate. Why? It draws your eye down to it. If it doesn't hit that nameplate, it's very easy to miss that the autograph's even there. But in this case, you can see it easily. Mantle in a 4.5. Lou Gehrig Day. Oh, wow. The stub from one of the greatest moments in sports history. How many baseball tickets would you rather have over that one? Not very many. I want to talk about iconic moments. Okay, 2005, the Cup complete set. Let's take a look at that one too. The Jordan in a 7, really well centered. I mean, really well centered. You're not going to find many star Jordans that look as good as that one. Yes, top to bottom is off, but I always think side to side is more important. And side to side, that's really good. And then this Jackie Robinson autograph. We'll take a close look at that one too. Okay, so let's start with Schmidt. One thing that Heritage does that you're going to really like, if you haven't paid attention, I know it's easy to sometimes just sort of jump past the description. If you're really ever looking at bidding on a card, definitely read the description. Heritage spends a lot of time on this. Several people work in this department, right? Like, this is a lot of work to get this right. And as you scroll down, you're going to find something here that I really like. So again, Heritage does this thing where they force themselves to publicly say, here's what our estimate is. And that's a hard thing to do, because I can tell you, cards are variable enough that Heritage knows they're going to be wrong on a lot of these. Some of them they're high, a lot of times they're low. And when it comes to how they are with their consigners, they'd rather be low than high. They'd rather be low because they don't want their consigners to say, you said it was going to sell for this. So, okay, PSA 10 Gem Mint. It doesn't say, I don't believe. Does it say what? Okay, here it is. To survive is one of just 5 PSA 10s. And so if you click on the link here, you're going to be able to see, oh, I've been getting this CAPTCHA thing from PSA almost every time I click on it. And I think it's because I'm on PSA's website probably more than just about anybody alive, right? Like, always here. So if you come here, you can see here's the card. It's a pop 5. But what I wish that PSA would show us here, and they don't, is they don't show us the complete. Like, I'd like to know how many cards were graded. I've said this to them before. I think it's an obvious miss. It should say the total number graded on that main page. So if we come into here, because we have to, and we type in Schmidt, we're going to find that the card's been graded. Guys, the card's been graded over 12,000 times. Over 12,000 graded. And there's 5 10s. That's why it's estimated at $300,000. So you've got, big time Hall of Famer Mike Schmidt, key rookie card with Ron Say too, by the way. I don't know about John Hilton as much, but everybody knows Ron Say and Mike Schmidt. Both of those rookies, Pop 5 out of 12,000 graded. Look at the centering. I mean, I don't know this issue perfectly, guys, but look at the centering. Look at the color. Look at the lack of printing imperfections. Whenever you see black, you always assume you'll see fish eyes and other weird things, but nothing like that. So, card's obviously amazing. It's currently over $200,000. Okay, so we looked at that one. We can get out of this one. And then the 1975 Brett, I wanted to look at the same thing. 1975 Brett graded Gem Mint 10. Let's see. Does it say on here? One of 11. So there's 10 more of these. Which of those two would you rather have? Well, the estimate here is half as much, and that's probably directly related to pop count. But would you rather have Schmidt or Brett? I think this is the more iconic card. People love 1975 Topps. People think of it as like one of the best looking sets ever. If I'm not mistaken, I think Nat Turner's Avatar has a 1975 Topps card on it. I think it's the Aaron, if I'm not mistaken. And I know a lot of people who love vintage baseball love this year. And the colors on it are really pretty. There's also a mini set from 1975 that's interesting. So we'll get off of that. Okay, now let's get to some of these autographs from the Golden Age collection. So this Mays autograph is interesting. It's interesting to me because it's as early as it is. It's not the Willie Mays autograph that we're used to seeing. And some people may look at it and their first impression might be, oh, that's a little bit of a messy signature. And I understand that. But you have to know the story. And when the story is, well, this was signed before Willie Mays signed to 99.9% of his autographs. And, all the Willie Mays autographs that you see these days are people who in the last 10 years have gone to shows and whatever else to get him to sign the cards. But this one was signed 70 years ago. Like that, to me, that story is really meaningful. It's so meaningful. And so, I just want to show you guys, if we go to Card Ladder, this is where Card Ladder, I don't know if other people use this way, but to me, this is like how I used to use WorthPoint back when WorthPoint had good data. It's really for the images. So if you go to 1951, then we just type in auto, this is where you're going to see more of the autographs that, oh, look at this one. This is a big sale. Okay, so let's look at these two. One from Memory Lane, one from Heritage. We'll look at one more from Heritage. You can see this Heritage is often where people go to sell the biggest in vintage autographs. Okay, so look at these three autographs. These are the three highest selling of all time, and you're going to find something really interesting, I think. Okay, and we'll come back and we'll look at the dates here in just a second. Oh, shoot, it's not going to let me make that big. That's really annoying. I wonder why. Well, let's look at them small. So look at that autograph. PSA 4 8 auto. Then you look at this one, PSA 410 auto. You can see in that bold Sharpie. I don't even have to make it big. And then the third one, bold Sharpie blue 410. So these are three really defined autographs, the blue and the black, very similar, but in the Sharpie. But at the highest, back in 2024, around the same era as this one from September, and in the same grade, this one, again, in a 4, sold for more. Well, wouldn't you argue that aesthetically, this autograph is just nowhere near as good as this autograph? Oh, sorry, pulling up the exact same one. As this autograph? Wouldn't you argue that aesthetically, this signature is just far superior to this signature? I think most people would. So why is it that this one sold for more? And how's that going to change over time? Well, from my perspective, this is just my belief, okay? You've got people who are aesthetics guys, and you've got guys that are like significance guys. I'm very far on the significance side. It's not that I don't appreciate the aesthetics, but I love the history of card collecting. I love the history of memorabilia. And so as I look at these three cards, I see one that has an autograph that is so different because it was signed early, presumably because it was signed so much earlier. Again, if you look at it, that's just different. That's not what we're used to seeing with Mays' signature. And if we come back to this one, you go, oh, hey, there we are again. It's not the defined Mays signature that we got in the end. It's early, and it's as early as any of them. And to me, again, if this is consistent with the other autographs that this individual got signed back in the 1940s and 1950s, this one was probably signed in 1951, 1952, maybe 1953. And that sort of explains why it looks the way that it does. So it's graded a 3.5. The autograph is graded a 10. How will it compare to these other ones? Again, I never want to try to pretend that I know what stuff's going to sell for. That's not my job. It's not what I'm trying to do, but I can tell you what I think, and I will always tell you what I really believe. I would way rather have, I want to understand the story longer. I'd want to research the autograph. But if I did all of that and I came away feeling like, yeah, you know what, this really is from 1951 or 52, I would feel so much stronger about this card than I would these. And the reason is just like, I don't think I need to explain it. Like, it's shocking to me that some people would take this over this. I get that his autograph is more iconic here. I get that people recognize it better. But this card was probably signed at a card show 10 years ago. This card was probably signed at a card show, like 10, 15 years ago. This card was signed back when he was not yet Willie Mays, back when he didn't hold most of the records that he holds now. Like, he wasn't this great famous, he was man at this point. At least he wasn't as famous as he ended up being. He wasn't the all-time great. He wasn't the guy who played into like the 1970s or whatever. He what is he, like fourth all time in home runs? I don't remember exactly. I don't know baseball stats the way that I know my basketball stats, but like, he hadn't written his story yet. And that somebody had to be there with the card, with the pen, to get the card signed. Like, I know I just sound super hypey right now, but like, that matters to me. That part of the story really speaks to me as a collector in a way where, although the autograph is not as iconic as we see over here, the story behind it is just so much more meaningful. Like, so much more meaningful. Okay. And basically everything that I just said, you can probably say about Jackie. The difference is that Jackie died a lot earlier than Willie Mays. And so really every Jackie Robinson autograph is a huge deal. In fact, I wonder if we go to Card Ladder, do we even, like, how many Jackie 52 autographs do we even get? Jackie Robinson 1952 Topps auto. 29 results, guys. Best ever sold in 2023 in a down market. Second best ever at 168 authentic, sold in 2023, again in a down market. Let's look at both of these. That is a really good looking signature. I love how the blue gets outside here. There's a reason that one sold so high, guys. That thing's phenomenal. And this one, we get a little inscription, best wishes. Autograph's not nearly as nice, but maybe that's a period thing too. I don't know. Again, the context is a little lost here. So how do those compare to this one? Well, again, context matters in terms of like when it was graded. I'd like to look at all the details and see if there's differences that I can see. It is really nice. I don't think, as far as aesthetics go, that it's as nice as this autograph is. I like how this one gets into the border. Again, some people don't like that, but I want to be able to see it. I want it to jump out to me. Which one? Let me ask you guys a question. Which one can you see better? This one? Well, if it's up really big, it's not going to be a debate, right? Which one can you see better? This one or the highest ever selling one that we were looking at? Now, I just went on and on about how much I love this card because I love how it gets into the border. I will say you see this one right here a lot better. And the reason you see it so much better is because so much more of it is across the light of the bat. This one right here, sorry, wrong one. This one right here just has a little bit across here and then down towards the Dodgers of the bat. And there's a little bit into the white, but my eyes aren't as drawn to it. My eyes are more drawn to this autograph. It's a little bit lighter, I think, but my eyes are more drawn to it. Card's not as good. It's a 2 instead of a 3.5. The autograph's graded the same. This one sold in the down market. I wonder how this one will compare. We could look at all the other ones that have sold. In fact, let's do that real fast before moving on. I'm not going to spend much more time on the autographs in this collection, by the way, because we've already done that a lot, and I want to get on to some of the other things you guys might be interested in. But let's see if we just look at dates sold. Yeah, well, you got the 168,000 one that we're looking at. You got an authentic one. So we haven't seen a Jackie 52 autograph sell in over 2.5 years. Yeah, guys, this could be a really big auction. This could be a really, really big auction. Yeah, it's not going to sell for this. I can't promise you, but I would be really, really surprised if it was anywhere near this. So that's a fun one to look at. And then, okay, let's get into this real quick. So the cup, we were talking about Exquisite, 03 Exquisite earlier when talking about the dual logoman. Look at the 6 cards that are in front of you here. You're going to recognize 2 of them right off. The top 2, the Ovechkin, the Crosby. And going back to when the cup came out, those have been the biggest 2 cards. The cup came out a couple years after the original Exquisite basketball and widely regarded as like the same type of product, the ultimate product that was made during that era for that sport. In fact, the cup was really modeled after Exquisite and by the same guy, Carvin Chung. So Carvin and the Upper Deck team in 2003 made Exquisite. They produced RPAs numbered to 99 and 225. They produced sets like limited logos and number pieces. And a lot of those same inserts made their way to hockey, and hockey collectors, including guys like Carvin, like they love this stuff so much. Crosby's autograph here looks great. Ovechkin's not aesthetically as nice, but that's just who Ovechkin is. Crosby just has a lovely autograph. The patch on the Ovechkin is especially nice. The patch on the Crosby is probably not the highest quality, but I think if I feel pretty comfortable saying, I think we've seen some 1 colors over the years too. So 2 is nice, but the fact that you're getting the complete set of 90 cards, and I believe that that includes like all the base cards too. Maybe we just have the RPAs pictured, but you can read down here at the bottom. It's like for a lot of people who are hockey collectors, they would say, hey, this is the most interesting set of the modern era. And then finally, this Jackie, I know I said I wouldn't spend too much time on this one or on any more of these, but I just want to say, I believe I heard the story on this one. So first off, 1948, that's actually made before Leaf and before Bowman, his 2 most iconic rookie cards. So here he is with I think that says Dodgers, right? So this is he with LA? Let's look at this closer. And then I have a small story to tell here that I think you guys might find interesting. It looks to me like it says Dodgers. And sorry, I should know this. I know I should know this. Jackie Robinson, Rookie of the Year and dramatic debut with Dodgers. Read this. This is really a cool back. Figure out where this card comes from. You can see Swell Bubblegum. So it is a bubblegum card. And again, it's from 1948. The story that I wanted to share here, though, was I believe this is a case where there had only been one other autograph of this card in existence, and this one made it pop 2, which is really interesting because, obviously a pop 1 is when it comes to autographs, it just makes it puts it in a whole nother level. But that's one thing that does exist with autograph cards, is that the more that come out, the higher the pop count gets. The thing that's great about Jackie is he just obviously doesn't have very many. He does not have very many autographs because of when he passed away, especially on his original cards. And they're all highly sought after, but especially a card like this. The thing that maybe even separates this card, though, from other later autographs is that this one was signed so early. Boy, it is a good looking signature too, isn't it? That is a great looking card. Okay, we need to start moving a lot faster. Okay, we got to speed it up, guys. Speed it up. 1984 Star basketball complete set in the original bags. Let's look at the Jordan in there. That's going to be interesting. Oh, look at this. Oh, my goodness. That is amazing. I mean, that's really amazing. I'm going to click on that real quick. That's a non-sport thing. We have to tell the story on this Jordan. I'm going to have to spend some real time on that. This DiMaggio, we're going to have to look at. This man, I can't look at them all. I've got to look at the mantle. I have to look at that mantle. And then I promise I'm not going to cover as many of these autographs. These are all such a huge deal. This collection, the Golden Age collection, which, by the way, this is not the only auction that they're putting Golden Age cards in. That collection is one of the all-time great autograph finds, guys. Like one of the biggest autograph finds ever, maybe the biggest autograph find ever. It may be bigger than the Uncle Jimmy collection. It's that big. So, oh my gosh, I've got to look at this Mikan though. I mean, this collection is just, this collection is insane, and this auction is insane. Let's look at this Giannis. Ooh, Christy Mathewson. Sporting Life Type 4. Type 4? What does Type 4 mean? I don't know what that means. Jordan rookie Ohtani autograph from 2018, 1 of 1. That's an interesting card. A lot of Ohtanis, guys. Ohtani autograph. A lot of Ohtanis. 1938 Williams in a 7 is a big deal. Here's another Mike Schmidt, but this one's a 9. I was going to say, we're not going to see another one of those at 10s. I think this is the best ticket in the history of basketball. I don't think it's even close. The Wilt Chamberlain 100-point game. I've done a few reels for these over the years because they just pop up exceedingly rarely, maybe like twice a year. Beck has graded a couple of them, but PSA really is graded like the majority of them, and it's in like the 20s or teens. Last time I remember looking at it, I think it was like 19 total in existence. Definitely look at that if you're a Wilt fan. I've always said I've never been a ticket collector, but if there was a single ticket that would make me go, okay, I could be a ticket collector, that's it. What would be second? What would be the second best ticket you could have? Jordan's first game, maybe? Like maybe there's something earlier than this. Maybe there's something like to a George Mikan game. We don't know those games. Name a more iconic game. And we there's no video for it. It's incredible. A Musial 8, only 2 graded higher. Bonds Tiffany, BGS 10. That's huge. The 1947 Bond Bred Jackie, predating his rookie card. Mantle 51 in 4 condition. I had a Mantle 51 in 4 condition back a long time ago. It was the biggest baseball card I ever owned. When I sold it, I said, okay, I'm not going to collect baseball cards anymore. And I haven't collected baseball cards since. That was, gosh, I was home from my mission. I don't think I was married yet. I think that was like 2005. Long time. Kobe Bryant 2002 finest. I'll tell you why this one's interesting. This card is numbered to 25. 2001 finest. There is no such thing. For some reason, they did not make Topps finest in 2001. They did make gold refractors in 2000. They were numbered to either 100 or 99. And this was the first year that they did them to 25. It's a really big card. It's also, and I always say this when I look at the set, I always say this because it's like a project that I just would love to do. This is the only set ever that has Kobe, LeBron, and Jordan as active players. The only one. Upper Deck made a few after this, but they're not active players. The only reason that we can say that this is like when they're active is because LeBron and XRC was made. They inserted redemptions into the product for the subsequent years rookies. So I guess technically you might even say, well, he wasn't active because he hadn't gotten into the NBA yet. That's probably true. But he was about to be in the NBA. It's him on draft day. It's Jordan as he's about to go out. It's also the only refractor set, the only finest set, the only chrome set, the only Topps produced chromium set ever that has all 3 guys in it. And so if you wanted the highest level, you would get the Kobe, Gold, the LeBron Gold, and the MJ Gold. Good luck finding any of the three. I did own the MJ Gold for a long time. I loved it. Sold it to my friend MK Sports Cards and regret that decision to this day. I love that card. Love it. And Kobe's an important part of it. Low key, Kobe's the best looking card in the set, in my opinion, because in some ways, I shouldn't say in my opinion. I like all three of them. I like the look of the gold with Kobe's jersey there. Jordan at the very end, LeBron at the very beginning, and Kobe during his heyday in the middle of all those finals runs. It's such a cool card. It seems like we see this card fairly often at Heritage, but it's not a common card. There's very few of them. It's one of the biggest Clementes in the world. Jordan debut ticket. There's maybe the second most cool ticket in the history of basketball. If we keep scrolling down, we're going to get to another card that I've already done a reel on, but I have to hit that one. I want to make sure that I'm not missing things. Okay. I've got so many cards to go through here. Let's go through all of these cards. We've got like 8 cards to go through, or 8 items to go through. So first up, we have the complete set of 1984 Star, which includes all 3 of the original MJs. Now, I would suspect that if anyone's selling these bags at this point, they're probably not housing 9 MJs, because a 9 MJ is $1 million, certainly a 7-figure card. There's only 3 of them last I saw in the pop report. With that said, there are 2 MJs in here, and I'll bet, let's see, I'll bet Heritage gave us some better images of those specific bags. Maybe they didn't actually. Nope, I spoke too soon. There's just the 2 images here, so let's make the most of what we've got. There, actually, these are pretty good images. Okay, so can I get even bigger? I'd like to get even bigger if I can. I can't. So I recommend saving this and drilling in as far as you can. What you have to pay attention to here, so this is a pretty normal MJ in terms of its centering. Far to the left, not like a ton of border on the right. Top and bottom, pretty good. What you have to pay attention to here is where the lines go to, right? So see, this Jordan ends here and then a new card begins. And what that tells you, because it's sort of fanning this direction, is this is the end of the Jordan here. You can see down here on the bottom, it looks a little bit wider than it does up here. That is normal on this Jordan. It looks like it's a little bit diamond cut. But as we see with these bags, the rest of the card looks really nice. The edges and the corners look just like you want it to. The question is, how high are the graders, specifically PSA, if you're looking for like the highest dollar items, how high could they allow this card to go given their centering grading restrictions? Can it be a 7? Can it be an 8? I don't think it can be an 8. It could be, though. I don't know it perfectly, so I would recommend going and doing the due diligence. And then look at this Jordan, same thing. And then the third Jordan, I guess we don't have an ability to look at because it's not on the front of the bag. The question is, which bag is it in? Because it is part of the base set. Wait a second. No, this one says to 288. Does that include the third one? What number is the third one? It says complete set. Let's just see. Let's see what it says down below. Offered, blah, 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 blah. I shouldn't say blah, 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 blah. The 86 is widely the rookie. The trio of cards featuring his airness within this set predates the 86. The cards are listed. The cards saw limited production between 3,000 to 6,000 sets. The crown jewels of this are the Jordan, and then all these other ones in sealed bags, blah, blah, blah. So my question here, and we're going to use Card Ladder to figure it out. If we just go Michael Jordan 1984 Star. And we see here's this one. Yeah, 288. Amazing. Amazing. So 1988 is the year. Sorry, guys. Sorry, no. 288, sorry. But this starts to become a math game a little bit. I mean, everything in these is a math game, But whenever I see a big lot or a set like this, my mind starts sort of saying, okay, what do we have here? What we have here is one of the all-time great sets, not very commonly presented in set form. We do see them from time to time, but it's not like an 86 Flair. You don't see them all the time. And you've got all three Jordans, and they're all in bags. Some people like me are immediately like, okay, what can I get these if I get them graded? But what's also definitively like 100% true is that right now that's what a lot of people do. And then that's decreasing the population of bagged MJs. There's 3 bagged MJs here, one here, and then one in one of the other spots. And I don't know exactly where it is, but there are not very many of these bags left in existence. Unless you're really certain that you think that thing has a chance to make a lot of money, man, I would be really tempted to just keep it like that forever because there's not very many of those left. Okay, let's look at this. So I had to look at this. I've got to look at this really like for my son. So my son is such a Beatles fan. And here you get all 4 of their autographs. Paul, George, John. Ringo's not super legible, but the rest of them are. Gosh, that's so cool. But the story here is that all 4 of them are in the same place. They're in the same place with provenance and authentication and PSA DNA type something. I can't see it. What if it's a type 1 or type? Oh, it's a type 1. It's a type 1 photo. Man, that is so cool. That is one of the neatest pieces of like pop culture I've seen at an auction. I mean, that is really, really cool. All right. Okay, this Jordan. There's a story here that there's part of this that you've got to understand that I have some knowledge on that I think is worthwhile, especially if you are a really high end. If you're in the market for a really high end Jordan autograph, there's very few options that I would say I think are more interesting than this one. Why? Well, I love autographs I love things that are first or things that are early. This is one of the earliest Michael Jordan autographs. He does have a few that are earlier, but this is one of them. There is some mystery here too, and we'll talk about that in a second, but let's cover the things that I think are really interesting. So what you'll notice as you look at the back of this card is there is not authentication language. What there is Upper Deck COA. And you can look at this thing and you can see that the COA or COA sticker, I should say. The COA sticker says BAD 14765. Now, this is where some research is really helpful. So if you come into Card Ladder, you go to Michael Jordan 1984 USA Auto. You're going to see, not USA. I guess it's just, why did I say 1984? Sorry, 1996 USA Auto. That didn't get us there either. Let's try 1996 Olympic Auto. Okay, that got us there, but it only got us 1. Sort of weird it only got us 1 because I know there's other ones that have sold. I wonder if there's something that I'm missing. Well, let's just look at this one. Hopefully this isn't the exact same copy that's up now, although it might be. Both of them at Heritage. Absolutely could be. Let's see. Ending in 050. Don't end in 050. It doesn't. Okay, cool. So on the back of this one, we get BAD 14765. And if we click on this one that's at Heritage, Heritage does a great job of allowing and Card Ladder to do this, and Card Ladder does a great job of doing this. You can come look at the link. You see this one's graded at 6.5 with a 10 auto. This one's graded, sorry, wrong way. This one, sorry, 6.5 with 10 auto, sold for $210,000. And this one is a 6 with a 9 auto. So less on both grades, but graded later. And so remember that sometimes PSA, at least in my opinion, drops their, they've made their grading standards more difficult. So I would compare these two and look at the cards and don't just look at the grades. Okay, now let's look at the autographs and the history behind them. So, and you can see this image, they used a photography that allowed you to see the card in a lighter fashion, which shows the autograph off better. But I'm not actually sure that that's really the case. Look how much darker they're showing the player here. This is like a foil card, and this is very common with foil. Like Black Diamond has some years of this that are the same, where you can't see within the foil because of just what the card looks like, and the photography on it's really hard to get right. I would argue that they did a better job on this photography in the past than they did this time. Just look at the outside. Like this outside is identical to this outside. See how it photographs here? So see how much nicer that looks, the autograph hitting that, than how it hits. Sorry. Than how it hits here. Okay, I digress. What I want to show you guys here was we turn around, we look at the back. There's that cert. And again, this is the one that we're looking at today. This is the one that's for sale right now. BAD 14765. And then we look at this one that's already sold. BAD 14767. 67. Kids are laughing everywhere. 65. The certs here are just 2 away from each other. And as I've researched these in the past, because remember, there's no population, there's no print run for these that exists anywhere, at least as far as I'm aware. What I have found is that this little Upper Deck hologram thing, the number that is on here, these seem like they were consecutive, or at least close. And last time I looked, I could only find that they were like, I think it was like 15 or 20 numbers away from each other. The lowest one from the highest one. I need to go back and do a lot more research to find out exactly. Because you can see, you can't pull them up all on Card Ladder. Like you got to go like search the whole internet for these things. And maybe if I just take off Olympic, maybe 1996 auto will just get me there. See, that's the thing. There's so many. If I do highest priced, okay, so we have more this way. So we're already looking at this 6.5. We haven't looked at this one. This one was sold by Golden, but sometimes based on when it was sold, Golden does not let us see the details. Let's see if 2023, let's see. Yeah, oh, no, Golden's going to let us see on this one. That's good. See, and Golden did a really good job on this imaging too. See how, like, you can see it so much better. Okay, so if we come into here, 66 14766. We have 14766, 14767, and 14765. What are the odds of that, guys? We found 3 consecutive Upper Deck serial numbers here. That's so cool. I love it when stuff like that happens. So this makes me more of a fan of this card. This is up, and I'm already a massive fan of it. Where is it? I've lost it. I love this card because, and I said this to Jeremy when we covered it one time, Jeremy Lee. This card had to crawl before the autographs of today could run. This is like part of the progress of the history of sports cards. It's a surface that probably wasn't the best surface to sign. MJ's Olympic rings, for whatever, they had to airbrush it. I don't know exactly why. This is basically, they took a base card and then they had him sign it and then they applied a sticker, which is crazy because the rest of the cards in the set all have authentication language on the back. It was just Jordan, who they, for whatever reason, didn't realize, oh, we should have the authentication language on the back of Jordan. Upper Deck did that, and that's just how it is. And now we found 3 in a row from those certificates. That's so cool, guys. So anyway, I love that Jordan. I know I covered that one forever, but I hope you guys like that. I think the stories there are really interesting. Okay, I'm going to get out of this. I don't need to be in this. I don't need to be in this. I don't need to be in this or this. And now we get to the DiMaggio. 1933 to 36 Z-Nuts, Joe DiMaggio. This is his card from the San Francisco Seals. This is one of Joe DiMaggio's very first cards and his only minor league cards. Pop 4 from PSA, Pop 1 PSA 4, only 2 higher. One of these recently sold in an SGC holder and had a higher grade on it, but I think we're about to find out how much people care about PSA. And so go look at the one that recently sold, compare it to this. It'll be interesting. Look at the condition first That's what I would recommend. And look at the edges and corners. Just look at the whole thing and then say, okay, how much does it matter that it's in a PSA holder? I guess it's hand cut. I didn't realize that. Oh, you know why it's hand cut? The whole thing isn't hand cut. It's just the bottom. The bottom had a coupon on it for like special deals or prizes or something. And so those were often cut off like they are here, like it is here. They're not always cut off, by the way. You can find some that still have that. And then I want to show you another one of these period mantle autographs. This is another one of the really incredible cards at this auction. A lot of people are going to make a lot about the 1952 Topps like I did. I think that's, that's really, really special. But this is an autograph from the same era on a card that is exceedingly rare. I wonder if the Pop Report tells us, and I suspect that it will, that these are really rare. Yep, that is what I figured. Pop 1 2 higher. There's only 3 in existence, and how many of them are there? Any that are in authentic holders? I'll bet you there are a couple that are in authentic holders. Let's see. See if I'm right. Mantle. I don't know for sure. I don't have any reason to for sure believe it, but it's such a rough set that you would expect. Nope, I'm wrong. 3. There's just 3. There's the one that's up. Watch this video, by the way. This Golden Age video that Heritage did. It was really good. PSA 1 with 9 autograph. And then there's a 1.5 and a 2. 3 cards. I was right about them all being low grade. I was wrong about there not being an authentic. But I guess if you're grading it 1 and 1.5, that sort of makes sense. All right. So we looked at the mantle. Let's get out of there. We looked at the DiMaggio. We don't need to keep that open. The Mikan, I'm not sure. I'm not going to bid on this card. I like Mikan a lot. I already have 2 big Mikan cards, but if I bought this, I could definitely afford to sell my non-autographed one. But that's not going to pay for very much of this. This is one of the nicest Mikan autographs in existence. I was looking at this the other day. There was a Mikan autograph. Let me show you this. That just sold. I didn't see it. It's off my radar as far as auction houses go. George 1948 auto. So there was one that sold at Love of the Game just like 2 weeks ago, which is crazy because these like rarely sell. Look at this. There's one that sold at Love of the Game 2 weeks ago, and a week before that, one at SCP. And then how far do we need to go back before the last one sold before that? I mean, it's a long time. Let's change this to include items that are at least $5,000. I can promise you every Mikan autograph 48 in the world is going to be over $5,000 at this point. So look at this, guys. 2 in the last few weeks, like in the last 3 weeks, these 2 have sold, and we have this other one that's selling now. And then there's this one all the way back in 2022, this one back in 2020. So they pop up every couple of years. But then 2020, there were 3 copies that sold. 2022, there was 1. And now we're going to get our 3rd copy. These are both authentics that sold. And this one that is up right now, get out of some of these that I don't need to be in anymore. Oh, shoot. Did I just get out of the wrong one? No. And then this one's a 2. So this one's a nicer card. Probably. I guess you can't say that for sure, but likely a nicer card than this one from the Love of the Game. I didn't know about either of these, though. But I wonder if those bring this one down a little bit. It might be a little bit of a buying opportunity. What's for sure is that the era on this signature is fantastic. That's what we learned from the Golden Age thing. Okay. So, and then I had to highlight this Giannis. Boy, what a time for this Giannis to be at auction. It's really interesting. Okay, so let me do a little bit of background on this Giannis right now. So Gary Vee, when he sort of landed on the card scene, really caused a tremendous, tremendous stir. Because I think a lot of people knew who he was. He's famous, and he came in with some really strong opinions. And he probably didn't have any opinions that I remember, at least, that were as strong as the Giannis 03 Prism or 2013 Prism take, which was he just believed that this card was going to be like an all-timer card. And what's interesting about that is I don't know that he was wrong, but I don't know that it went as well as he hoped that it would. The regular Prism cards are far rarer, by the way, than everything that came after it by a couple of years. So everything that came like 2016, 2017, and after is just nowhere near as rare as this card in its most basic format. And the cards soared in value, so he was absolutely right about those things. But then over time, I think what was realized was that like there's not as many people out there who wanted to own one than existed at those prices, and so the card just absolutely came crashing down in a massive way. And similarly, some of the high-end parallels got to all-time like crazy highs, right? And so in fact, if we come in here and we just do Giannis 2013 gold Prism, wait till you guys see these numbers. This is just nuts. So, and we just sort by highest price. So this card in a 9.5, which is very similar to a PSA 9, sold for $528,000. And prior to that, the same grade had sold for $510, and a PSA 10 had sold for $420,000, like $270,000 for a raw. This card is sold for over $200,000 5 different times, and has sold for over $100,000 another 4 times. This is one of the gold Prism cards, really, of the whole era. How many Prism cards would you say are more iconic than the Giannis 2013? That is an interesting question. Is anything from 2012? I think that's highly debatable. As somebody who, 2 of my best cards are from 2012 Prism, I would not suggest that they're more iconic than this one. Giannis is one of the players of the era. 2014? Anything is iconic? No, it's not Andrew Wiggins, I'll tell you that. 2015, is Jokic more iconic? He might be at this point, just because we like him as a player so much. But there's no way that card has ever had the hubbub that this Giannis has. It's like it's not close. I would rather own the Jokic by a mile, especially the gold. It's impossible. But I'm just talking about the card itself right now. Iconic does not reference the color. Iconic references the recognizability of that image, of that card, of that set. Giannis is very high on the list. He does not have a case, I don't think, next to the Luka 2018. People really view that, especially because of its growth during the pandemic, as the most iconic Prism card. Actually, it's funny, though. I do think it does still have a case. I just think it gets forgotten. And by the way, Giannis has his championship. Luka's still hoping to get his. Luka is more interesting as a flavor of the day, but I don't know that it's for certain at this point that we're going to put him higher on the all-time list. That may sound like an insane thing to say in a couple of years, though, because Luka's offensive skill set's just prodigious, just incredible. With all that said, this is certainly one of the more recognizable Prism cards of all time. And seeing it in a 10, seeing it as low as it is, not knowing whether he's going to ever play for the Bucks again, not knowing where he's going to go, not knowing whether he's going to be on a championship contender, not knowing whether he could be traded to the Lakers, all of that sort of makes me look at this card and go, wow, maybe now's the time on this card. It's really interesting. It's really an interesting card. All right. And then lastly, a card that I had to do some serious research on, and absolutely one of my favorite cards in this auction, the 2000 Upper Deck Legends, Michael Jordan. I know you're going to look at this maybe and say, oh, well, I should say some people, I would suggest probably more newer collectors will look at this and say, it's a 5. We have no recorded sales of this card where we can see the image. That means like since 2012 or something, 2013 or something, we don't have any sales of this card. There are 2 eBay sales of this card back in like 2007 and 2012 where we don't even have the image. We're not even sure that this is actually the card that was being sold. And that's made increasingly unlikely because this is one of the very rare times, not to get too into the weeds, but this is one of the very rare times where Beckett and PSA disagree on the taxonomy of the set. They disagree on the year. So if you see the same card graded by Beckett, it will say 2001 UD Legends. PSA's got it as 2000 UD Legends. It's really weird because on the outside of the box came out really late in the season in 2000, 2001, maybe even after the season was over. And on the front of the box, it says 2000, 2001 Legends. But Beckett said this is a 2001 set. It did not have rookies from 2000 in it. It had rookies from 2001, but they were presented in XRC form via redemption. So is it 2000 or 2001? Beckett and PSA can't agree. They disagree on it. So I wonder how messed up the PSA pop reports are, because PSA has not been consistent with it over the years. This set and the year before, they kind of have gone back and forth. The year before is the classic white cards, the legendary signatures. I know this says legendary signatures too, but like the cards that we generally think of as legendary signatures, the horizontal, more white cards. On the face of the card, it says 1999-2000, but PSA often labels them as 2000, and Beckett always labels them as 2000. This is the following year, but on the front of it, it says 2000, 2001. On the back, the copyright says 2001. So it's been confusing over the years for them to figure it out, and I think it's messed up the pop reports. And the pop reports show all low numbers anyways, but I'm telling you, like, we haven't seen this one sell before. I think it's fantastic. I think the autograph grade of a 9 is one of those moments where you're like, okay, whatever. Like, the autograph looks perfect to me. I think the image by, I think the name is James Fiorentino, I think is his name. I think that's very cool. And then I think the sort of knowing the history that, like, supposedly a jersey numbered production was put together for all these ones that say the Fiorentino collection. I should have drilled into this autograph before. See, that to me is just, it's a 10 autograph. You'd say, but Adam, there are little bubbles in it. Like, I don't care. You're just going to get bubbles like that. I think that's as nice as you could hope that autograph would be. The card's graded a 5, but nothing about it presents poorly. I think this card will surprise people what it sells for. But Heritage had this as an estimate of $5,000 or over, and I was like, yeah, I'll take it for $5,000. Let's go. It's not going to sell for $5,000. It's one of the rarest Jordan autographs ever. I will say, after I posted it on my Instagram, and remember that video has now been seen 10,000 plus times, I had, I think, 5 different people message me with, hey, I found this, or I found that. One guy in particular on Facebook, super helpful. I should have his name in front of me, but I don't. He said, hey, I found these 2. He found 2 different images. And then I had a few other people say, hey, I know this guy who has this one. And so I think we got to 5 or 6 total on this card. I still have my doubts whether there are really 23 of them in existence. And I don't believe that there's a regular version. I think that there's just a Fiorentino collection version. And that's a generally accepted claim in the hobby. There's no images of a regular version out there, even though it does exist on the checklist. There is nothing. There's no hint of a sale ever. There's no sales where they don't even, like, there's nothing. There's nothing. So I think this is the only variation from this year. I think it's fantastic. And I would expect that it sells for a lot, but sometimes I'm wrong. So we'll see what happens. Okay. So we've now covered, man, there's so many. I don't think I'm going to make it to 100 cards, guys. We'll see what happens. The 1921 exhibits Ruth. I've seen a couple of these lately. 4 on that. The Jordan jersey, those of you who know me know it's one of my all-time favorites. The very first jersey card set ever. Jordan, they cut up his all-star jersey. A Maravich 10, or something you don't see every day. From 1974, Pop 5. That is a big, big deal card. Jordan Premier autograph out of UD Premier. Great looking card, great looking image. Thinner stock, premium feel though. It's kind of like they said, okay, let's do something that looks like exquisite, but let's make the cards a little bit thinner and maybe not give them some of the same sort of names. Jeremy's told me that in hockey, UD Premier is viewed as like one of the very best sets out there. And for whatever reason in basketball, people have always thought about it being like not as cool as exquisite, but I think it's really cool. And then a card that has recently gained a lot more in terms of popularity based on some of the guys in the high-end Jordan world collecting after these things, a 1-of-1 from 1999 of Michael Jordan. The 1-of-1 world has definitely seen a real explosion in the last year or so. You can see it in the Jordan collectors. They're after those 1-of-1s. He doesn't have very many from the 90s, and that is one of them. All right, let's see if we can highlight a few more items before I have to go. It's 1:15. And what we might want to do actually, what we might want to do is should I just hit the basketball? I know I hate to do that because there's so many cool things, but I think a lot of you, I think, would rather just hear my basketball stuff. So there's another one of those Swell Sport Thrills Jackies, a PSA 5. Obviously, that one's not autographed, but still very cool. Okay, let's come up to the top real quick. So if you come up to the top, there are all of these different filters, right? And if you hover over this area that says all sports, you can click on it and click basketball. You can see there's over 800 items just in basketball. And you click search. Then we're going to see all of the biggest basketball items. And we've seen a lot of them already because we've already scrolled past them. But if we keep scrolling down, we're going to see all of them. Look at this. The John Wooden Award trophy hoisted by Bird and Jordan. So this was the award that was given out from 1987 or 1977 to 1984, a perpetual trophy. And that sounds crazy. Doesn't that sound crazy? Let's look at that. Look at that card. And then, the Jordan autograph floor card. So this came out of the exact same product as this. The difference is that we sometimes see this card. We never see this card. But if you look at this one, you'll notice it's numbered to 23. So how come we sometimes see this one and we never see that one? Let me show you guys this. This is crazy. So if you go to Card Ladder and you type in 2001 Legends autograph, Jordan. Look at this. You've got one Kobe, one with Kobe, two with Kobe, one with Jabbar, three with Kobe. That's a different variation. This one I think is actually from the subsequent year. Then you've got, you know what? Gosh, I got to take back what I said, don't I? I don't see the floor. Is it because it's listed? Oh, because I'm typing in 2001. Let's type in 2000. So 2000 Legends autograph Jordan. You've got a lot of cards from the Master Collection. These are all Master Collection cards so far. Then you have an autographed jersey card, numbered to 23. And if you keep scrolling down, more of these Legends cards. Then you have the year prior's legendary signatures. And then you have this one, another autographed jersey card. An autographed jersey card. And there's an autograph floor card. Autographed jersey card. You know what, honestly, there's fewer autographed floor cards than I thought. I thought that we were going to see more. We only saw one in the images. There were way more of the autographed jerseys. I'm surprised. Kind of have to own that I mistook that. But you can see that it's from the same set, I believe. I think we're going to scroll down and we're going to see that it says 2001 in the copyright. Yep, that's from the same set as the one that we were talking about earlier. So, okay, let's get out of here and here. Come back here. A ring from the 76ers last championship in 1983. There's that 1-of-1 Jordan that we were talking about. A couple of huge Maraviches, some Crunch and Munch MJs. Frazier SGC 95. A Crunch and Munch unopened. Wow, somebody's selling a massive Maravich collection. Another PSA 10 from 1973 this time. Another PSA 10 from 1972. Yes, there is somebody selling a massive Maravich collection. This looks like is this the complete set? Oh, I love this set. Let's see. All right. So in 2005, this product came out. I remember like it was yesterday because the autographed rookies in this were as rare as the autographs, or as rare as the rookies were in Exquisite. And so there's autographed rookies in this that are vertical, numbered out of 99, and they're really nice. But this autograph set at this point is really phenomenal. And I say at this point deliberately because a lot of these guys are gone. Like a lot of these guys are gone. You do have guys like LeBron was active at this point, but then like just start at the top here. So obviously Bird's still around, Olajuwon's still around, Walton's gone. Then we've got Rodman, Admiral, Irving, Russell's gone, Jabbar, Magic, Chuck Daly's gone, Bill Sharman's gone, Walt Frazier and John Stockton are both still with us. All of those cards graded by PSA, and there's the back side of all of them. Oh, and they only gave us 2 images here. Well, that's okay. What you do have is you have a list of all the other guys, but look at this with me, guys. Unseld's gone. I don't know about Brian Winters. I think Free's gone. Bellamy's gone. I think Mickelson's gone. There's Sharman, Arizin, Thurman, Eaton. Like so many of these guys aren't with us anymore. Dawkins, Connie Hawkins. So many of them. I didn't look through all of them. I just sort of, but like this set was not the hardest set to find an autograph in, but getting a guy like LeBron was really tough. And it was not cheap. I remember thinking the math at this time just didn't make sense. It was like, it's really expensive for a box and you hardly ever got anybody you really wanted. And then you never got the autographed rookies, which are not in this set. They're part of the base set. But that is a really crazy, cool, complete set. And if you're somebody who just wants to have a set that sort of represents the history of the NBA and has a lot of the autographs in them, I think you could do a lot worse. I do think this will go up quite a bit from here, but I don't know it. Sometimes sets like this really fly under the radar. Like they really do. So we'll come back here one last time to Heritage and to the auction in basketball and scroll down for, how much time do we have? We'll scroll down for 2 more minutes if I can get it to go back and see if in the last 2 minutes we can find one other real gem that's just waiting on us. This autograph ball is so cool. Dream Team signature signed by all 12 players. That's just nuts. The Jordan graded by SGC. I'll bet you they haven't graded that card that many times. That is going to be a big slab, though. I'll tell you that, because remember, this card is big. That thing's probably like 10 inches high. There's that complete set. Ooh, the ComSpec. ComSpec in an 8.5. Is this the highest? Pop 1, none higher. That's actually a pretty big card. That Maravich right there is a pretty big card. It's sitting at 4,000, but its estimate is 15,000. It's his rarest card. It was made 2 years after his rookie. He does not have a 68 tops test, so it's his rarest playing days type card. That iconic 72 tops image, like all the cards in the set. There are not very many graded at all. In fact, let's make this. Let's click on this one and we'll scroll down and see if there's anything else that we really want to look at. Cool MJ poster here. And it's signed. Oh, this made its way into the basketball, but it's baseball. No name on front. Oh, this Frank Thomas is so cool. Check this out, guys. No name on front. I want to know what you guys think about this one. Frank Thomas, no name on front, signs the card. Graded a 5, by the way. That is not a bad grade for this card. And then signs his Hall of Fame date over where the name normally is. It's one of the most recognizable baseball cards of the era and one of very few cards of the junk wax era that's maintained any value. And somebody at some point had Frank sign this and put the autograph right there. My question for you is, would you rather have this card just as a 5? Would you rather have that, or do you like this where he signed the autograph and then put the Hall of Fame over the nameplate where his name's supposed to go? I think that's so cool. I would say, I bet you there's not very many of these. We can look at in fact, let's look at the pop report. Let's look at the pop report on this one. And we will do that. Whoops. Let's look at the pop report on this. There's not going to be very many of these that are autographed. I'll bet there are less than 20 of these cards that have been autographed and graded by PSA. That's my guess. Let's see. I might be way off. Probably am way off. So there's 2 and 2 graded higher. So maybe I won't be that far off. Okay, here, and then type in. You know, Frank knows what the no name on front means. He knows, right? It's one of the most popular cards of the whole era. And even if he's not a baseball card guy, he knows this story. So name on front has been graded with autograph over 1,000 times. No, man, I did good on this. No name on front has only been graded 17 times ever. And only 2 higher than this. So this is my take. I asked the question, what would you rather have, this signed or unsigned? But after having seen how low the pop is on autographed versions of this card, I'm taking this card. I'm taking this card autographed over non-autographed because there's only these 2 and 2 graded higher. That means this is one of the 4 finest autographed copies of this card in existence. And compare that to, sorry guys, compare that to, if we come back here, oh gosh. Compare that to how many there are non-autographed. You're killing me, PSA. Frank Thomas. No name on front. In 5 or higher grade, there are about 200. So it's one of the 4 finest autograph copies of the card in existence. Or if it wasn't autographed, it would be one of the 220 or so finest non-autograph copies. Give me the autograph copy every time. Guys, this is an incredible auction. Thank you to Heritage for supporting the show. Thank you guys for watching it. If you haven't already liked, commented, leave me a comment. I always love it when you guys leave me a comment saying, I really like how you did this, or here are some things that I would have liked you to look at more or whatever. I really always appreciate that feedback. But guys, check out the auction. The auction ends coming up next weekend. It's going to be huge. I am definitely watching a few for myself. And let me know if you win anything. All right, guys, until next